How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, June 18th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Thursday, June 17th, and I'm going to preview everything that's going on today for Friday, June 18th, as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. First off, I want to thank ESPN, the NBA, NHL, MLB, and UEFA websites, and the Copa website for helping giving me this data and information in order to do this show. Without further ado, I'm going to get started off in Milwaukee. Yesterday, there was only one playoff game, and it was Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinal matchup as the 3-seed Milwaukee Bucks hosted the 2nd-seed Brooklyn Nets. And with the Nets one win away from clinching the Eastern Conference Finals, the 3rd-seed Milwaukee Bucks would beat the Nets 104-89. The big difference being the first half, the Bucks outscored the Nets by 7 in the first quarter and by 4 in the second, by 11 in the first half, if you can add that up. And for the Brooklyn Nets in this matchup, their leading scorer was their goated starting power forward, Kevin Durant. He finished with 32 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 7 turnovers in 40 minutes, as he shot 15 for 30 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and he shot 0 for 2 from the foul line on the night. Alongside him in their starting lineup, their elite starting shooting guard, James Harden, finished with 16 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 steals in 40 minutes as he shot 5 for 9 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the foul line. And their elite starting power forward, Blake Griffin, would finish with 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals in 31 minutes as he shot 4 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. For the Milwaukee Bucks in this matchup, their leading scorer was their starting small forward, Chris Middleton. He finished with 38 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in 42 minutes as the former All-Star shot 11 for 16 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and 11 for 12 from the foul line. Alongside him, their elite starting power forward, Giannis Antetokounmpo, finished with 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists in 41 minutes as he shot 12 for 20 from the field and 6 for 10 from the foul line. Their starting point guard, Drew Holiday, would finish with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals in 43 minutes as he shot 8 for 21 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. With this win, this series is now tied, as this game will, of course, be forced to a Game 7, which will be played tomorrow on TNT. Many people are going to be looking forward to that. But, of course, looking forward to what's going on today. Starting off at 7:30 on ESPN, it will be Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinal matchup as the 5th-seed Atlanta Hawks will host the 1st-seed Philadelphia 76ers. As of now, the Atlanta Hawks are one game away from clinching a spot to the Eastern Conference Finals, and with the other series going to a Game 7, they very well could be the first team there. The Sixers, of course, fighting for their playoff lives. They need to win 2 games in order to ensure everyone that, of course, the process is a process to be trusted. Following that, at 10 o'clock, it will be Game 6 of the Western Conference semifinal matchup between the 4-seed Los Angeles Clippers and the 1st-seed Utah Jazz. This game will be in Staples Center. Like I said, Clippers 1 game away. The Jazz have to win 2. And, of course, they, like the Sixers, they got to show that they're a process to be trusted as well. So that's what's going on in the NBA as we navigate through that. So staying within the context of playoffs, switching to Stanley Cup hockey, looking at what happened yesterday, it was Game 3 of the Stanley Cup semifinals as the 3rd-seed New York Islanders hosted the Eastern Division champs, New York Islanders, hosted the Central Division champs and the defending Stanley Cup champs, Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning were able to pick up a 2-1 win as they scored in the first and second period. With this win, the Tampa Bay Lightning now hold a 2-1 series lead as Game 4 will be played in New York, as the Islanders will have a chance to even the series up in front of their home fans. But looking out to what's going on today, it will be Game 3 of the other Stanley Cup semifinal series as the Northern Division champs, Montreal Canadiens, are going to host the Western Division champs, Golden Knights. This game will be on USA in Quebec, so this will be a very big game for the Canadiens to really prove it. This will be the first game in which an American team is playing in Canada. I'm very sure about that. But that is what's going on in the NHL. So, of course, a pretty historic game. And that, so staying within the States but switching to the diamond, looking at what happened yesterday in the MLB. Starting off in Cleveland, the Cleveland Indians hosted the Baltimore Orioles. They were able to pull off a 10-3 win as they were able to pick up they were able to display a great offensive performance all around. For the Baltimore Orioles, the loss would go to Jorge Lopez. He would allow 5 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3 on the day. With this loss, Jorge Lopez is now 2-8 on the season as a starting pitcher. In their batting lineup, their first baseman Trey Mancini will go 2 for 5 with an RBI. Their designated hitter, Ryan Mountcastle, will be the only other Orioles player with more than 1 hit. He went 2 for 4 on the day. For the Cleveland Indians, the start would go to their starting pitcher, Eli Morgan. Morgan would allow 3 earned runs in 3.2 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The win would go to the Indians' second relief pitcher, Trevor Stephan. It's Phan, so I'm guessing Stefan. He would allow no earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With his win, Stefan is now 1-0 as a relief pitcher for Cleveland. In their batting lineup, their shortstop Ahmed Rosario will go 2 for 5 with a run. Their elite designated hitter Jose Ramirez will go 1 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run. Jose Ramirez would hit his 16th home run of the season. Their catcher, who in this matchup was Ryan Laverne would finish with 2 for 4 with a run on the day, and their right fielder Josh Naylor would go 2 for 3 with a run. Their third baseman, who in this matchup was Yu Chang, would go 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs as Chang would hit his second home run of the season. With this win, the Cleveland Indians are now 38-28. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 3.5 games in the division, and they sit 1 spot out of the American League wild card as they sit 1 game behind the Houston Astros. With this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are now 22-46. That is the worst record in the American League. East. They are now trailing the Tampa Bay Rays by 20 games in the division. They have now lost 8 of their last 10 games, but they've lost their last 8 games. And they currently sit 18 games behind the Houston Astros outside of the American wild card. Jumping out to San Francisco, the San Francisco Giants hosted the Arizona Diamondbacks and were able to pull up a 10-3 win as they were able to put on an offensive clinic from beginning to end. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the start and the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Zach Gallen. Gallen would allow 4 earned runs in 2.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, Zach Gallen is now 1-2 on the season. In their batting lineup, their third baseman, Eduardo Escobar, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs on the day as he was the only Arizona Diamondbacks player with more than 1 hit. For the San Francisco Giants, the start and the win went to Kevin Gausman. He allowed 2 earned runs in 8 innings pitched as he struck out 6 on the day. In their batting lineup, their right fielder, Mike Yastrzemski, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 19th double of the season. Their first baseman, Brandon Belt, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their catcher, Kirk Casale, would end up going 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. Casale would hit his very first home run of the season. Their center fielder, Steven Duggar, would go 3 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. And their shortstop, Mauricio Dubon, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are now 44-25. That is currently the best record in the National League, and they are currently sitting 2.5 games ahead of the Los Angeles Dodgers within their own division. They have now won their last 4 games, and they have won 7 of their last 10. Looking at what's going on, with this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 20-50. That is the worst record in the National League as they currently trail the San Francisco Giants by 8. They trail the San Francisco Giants by 24.5 games in the division, and they currently have lost their last 14 games. In the wild card, they currently sit 18.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers and San Diego Padres at the moment. Jumping out to Toronto, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the New York Yankees, or I guess this game would happen in Buffalo. This game the Yankees took, and the Yankees won it 8-4 as they scored 4 of their runs in the 7th inning. Big game for New York, especially right here. For the Blue Jays in this matchup, the start would be given to TJ Zeuch. TJ Zeuch would go on to allow 2 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The loss would go to their third relief pitcher, Anthony Castro. Castro would allow four earned runs in .1 inning pitched as he struck out one. With his loss, Castro is now 1-2 on the season as a relief pitcher. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Randall Grichuk, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then their center, Reese McGuire, would end up going 3 for 3 with an RBI and a run. For the New York Yankees, the start would be given to their starting pitcher, Michael King. Michael King would go through. He would allow 3 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out one, and the win would be given to their third relief pitcher, Chad Green. Chad Green would go on to allow no earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this win, Chad Green is now 1-4 as a starting pitcher on the season. With this win, he is now 1-4 as a relief pitcher. In their batting lineup, their elite designated hitter, Giancarlo Stanton, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs, as he would go on to hit his 13th home run of the season. Their third baseman, Gio Urshela, would go 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs as he hit his 8th home run of the season. With this win, the New York Yankees are now 36-32. That is currently the third best record in the American League East. They now currently trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 6 games in the division. Right now, they currently sit 4 games behind the Houston Astros outside of the American League wild card. With this loss, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 33-34. That is the 4th best record in the American League East, as they now trailed the Tampa Bay Rays by 8.5 games in the division. They currently trail the Houston Astros by 6.5 games outside of the wild card. Jumping out to New York, the New York Mets hosted the Chicago Cubs, and the Cubs were able to beat the Mets 2-0. Both of those runs scored in the first inning off of a 2-run home run from Javi Baez. For the New York Mets, the start and the loss would be given to Marcus Stroman, the Duke alum. He allowed 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 8. With this loss, he is now 6-5 on the season. In their batting lineup, nobody on the team would register more than 1 hit, and that was attributed to great pitching from the Cubs. They allowed the Mets to only get 2 hits all game. For the Chicago Cubs, the start and the win was given to Kyle Hendricks. He allowed no earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he only allowed 2 hits. He struck out 7 batters in those 6 innings, and with this win, Kyle Hendricks is now 9-4 on the season. In their batting lineup, their elite shortstop Javi Baez went 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he went on to hit his 16th home run of the season. And with this win, the Chicago Cubs are now 39-30. That is the best record in the National League Central, as they now sit 1 game ahead of the second-place Milwaukee Brewers in the division. They have now won 6 of their last 4 games, and they are currently tied with the San Diego Padres for the second National League wildcard spot at the moment. With this loss, the New York Mets are now 35-26. That is the best record in the National League East, as they now sit 4.5 games ahead of the second-place Philadelphia Phillies, and that's where they're currently sitting at this very moment. They sit with the second best. Right now, they're holding the second best record in the National League record-wise at the moment. Jumping out to Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves hosted the St. Louis Cardinals. They were able to pull off a 4-0 win as they scored all 4 of their runs in the 5th through 7th inning. For the St. Louis Cardinals, the start and the loss will go to John Gant. He allowed 3 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this loss, he is now 4-5 on the season as a starting pitcher. In their batting lineup, no one would register more than 1 hit on the day, and that can be attributed to great Braves pitching. For the Braves, the win and the start went to Charlie Morton. He allowed no earned runs in 7.2 innings pitched as he struck out 7 on the day. With this win, Charlie Morton is now 6-3 on the season. And with this, and in their batting lineup, their elite right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr., would end up going 1 for 2 with an RBI and a run. Their elite first baseman, the reigning National League MVP, Freddie Freeman, will go 2 for 4 on the day. And their center fielder, Guillermo Heredia, will go 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. And he would go on to hit his 3rd home run of the season for Atlanta. With this win, the Atlanta Braves are now 31-35. That is the second best record in the National League East. They now trail the New York Mets by 6.5 games in the division. They currently sit 5.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers and the San Diego Padres outside of the wild card spots outside of the second wild card spot in the division. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 35-34. That is the fourth best record in the National League Central. They now trail the Chicago Cubs by 4 games in the division. They have now lost 6 of their last 10 games, and they currently sit 3 games behind the Brewers and Padres outside of that second place wild card spot. Jumping to Houston, the Houston Astros hosted the Chicago White Sox, and they were able to pull off a 10-2 win as they scored 7 of their 10 runs in the first 4 innings. For the Chicago White Sox, the start and the loss would go to Dylan Cease. He allowed 6 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this loss, Cease is now 5-3 on the season as a starting pitcher. Nobody on the team would register more than 1 hit. I guess that could be attributed to great Astros pitching. For the Astros, the start and the win went to Jose Urquidy. He would allow 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, he is now 5-3 on the season as a starter. In their batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Jose Altuve, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 16th home run of the season. Their third baseman, who in this matchup was Abraham Toro, would end up going 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs as Toro would hit his first home run of the season. With this win, the Houston Astros are now 40-28. That is the second best record in the American League West. They now trail the Oakland Athletics by 2 games in the division, and they currently sit a game and a half behind the Boston Red Sox for the first spot in the wild card, as they currently hold the second spot in the wild card. With this loss, the Chicago White Sox are now 43-26. That is the best record in the American League Central, and that is record-wise the best record in the American League. With this win, they now currently and also with this loss, they've only lost 3 of their last 10 games at this very moment. Jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the Cincinnati Reds, and in this matchup, the Padres would end up beating the Reds 6-4 after the Reds scored all 4 of their runs in the 4th inning to go up 4-2. The Padres would score 4 in the bottom of the 9th as Eric Hosmer tied it with a 2-run home run, and Victor Caratini would hit a 2-run home run to win the game on a walk-off slam Diego. For the Cincinnati Reds, in this matchup, the start would go to Wade Miley. He allowed 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 5. He would not get the decision. The loss would go to the Cincinnati Reds closer, Amir Garrett. Amir Garrett would allow 2 earned runs without registering a single out. He was the one that gave up the 2-run home run to Caratini. With this loss, he is now 0-2 as a relief pitcher. In their batting lineup, Jonathan India will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 6th home run of the season. Their first baseman, Joey Votto, will go 2 for 3 with a run. Then their catcher, Tucker Barnhart, will go 2 for 3 as well. For the San Diego Padres, their starting pitcher, their start would go to Joe Musgrove. He would allow no earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The win would be given to their closer, who in this matchup was Pierce Johnson. Pierce Johnson allowed no earned runs in 0.1 inning pitched, and with this win, he is now 2-2 as a relief pitcher. In their batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr., would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He would hit his 22nd home run of the season, which of course leads the MLB. The only player for the Padres that had more than one hit was their catcher, Victor Caratini. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run, and with this win, he would hit his 5th home run of the season. With this win, the San Diego Padres are now 39-32. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 6 games in the division. They are currently tied with the Milwaukee Brewers, or they have the 3rd best record in the National League wildcard race. They are about even with the Milwaukee Brewers, and they currently trail the Los Angeles Dodgers by 3.5 games for that first NL wildcard slot. Jumping out to Colorado. Before I jump out to Colorado, with this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are now 35-32. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central. They now trail the Chicago Cubs by 3 games in the division, and they currently trail the Brewers and San Diego Padres by 2 games for the second place wildcard slot. Jumping out to Denver, the Colorado Rockies hosted the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Rockies were able to beat the Brewers 7-3 at home, as 5 of their runs came in the first inning. And their first 4 runs came off of a C.J. Cron grand slam in the first inning, might I add. For the Milwaukee Brewers, the start and the loss would go to Brandon Woodruff. He allowed 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5. All 5 of his runs were given up on home runs. Like I said, he's 5-3 now. In their batting lineup, their third baseman, Luis Urias, would end up going 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs. He was the only player on the Brewers that had more than 1 hit. As a team, they only had 3 hits total. For the Colorado Rockies, the start and the win would go to German Marquez. He would allow no earned runs in 6 innings pitched on only 1 hit as he struck out 2. With this win, German Marquez is now 5-6 on the season. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Jonathan Daza, will go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their first baseman, CJ Cron, will go 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run as he hit his 8th home run of the season and his 8th double as well. Their second baseman, Garrett Hampson, would end up going 2 for 4 as he finished with an RBI and 2 runs on the day, and he hit his 6th home run of the season. With this win, the Colorado Rockies are now 29-41. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 15.5 games in the division. And right now they trail the Brewers and Padres by 9.5 games for that second spot in the National League wildcard slot. With this loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 38-31. That is the 2nd best record in the National League Central. They now trail the Chicago Cubs by 1 game in the division. They now trail they are currently holding on to the 2nd spot in the National League wild card as they are about even with the San Diego Padres. They have now lost, and with this loss, they have now lost their last 4 games and 5 of their last 10. Jumping out to Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels hosted the Detroit Tigers, and in this matchup, the Los Angeles Angels would put up a 7-5 win after scoring 5 of their 7 runs in the 7th inning. In this inning, of course, they would get 4 runs from a Taylor Ward grand slam, and for the Detroit Tigers in this matchup, the start and the loss would end up going to Matt Manning. Matt Manning would allow 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, Matt Manning is 0-1 on the season for Detroit. In their batting lineup, their designated hitter, Jonathan Schoop, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He would hit his 12th home run of the season. Their third baseman, Jeimer Candelario, would go 2 for 4. And then their pinch-hitting shortstop, Nico Goodrum, would end up going 2 for 2 with an RBI. Their left fielder, Akil Baddoo, would go 2 for 4. And for the Los Angeles Angels, the start and the win would go to Shohei Ohtani. He allowed 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, Shohei Ohtani is 3-1 for the Los Angeles Angels, and the save will go to Raisel Iglesias. He allowed 1 earned run in 2 innings pitched as he struck out 2. As he picked up his 12th save of the season. In their batting lineup, their left fielder, Justin Upton, will go 2 for 5 with a run. Their catcher, Kurt Suzuki, would go 2 for 4. And then their second baseman, Luis Rengifo, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are now 34-35. That is currently the 4th best record in the American League West, as they now trail the Oakland Athletics by 8.5 games in the division. They now currently trail the Houston Astros by 6.5 games outside of the second American League wildcard spot. Jumping to Seattle, last but not least, the Seattle Mariners hosted the Tampa Bay Rays, and in this matchup, the Seattle Mariners would end up beating the Rays 6-5 after scoring 2 runs in the 9th off of a walk-off single from Kyle Seager to put them up. For the Tampa Bay Rays in this matchup, the start would be given to Rich Hill. He allowed 4 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5 on the day. The loss would end up going to their closer, who in this matchup was Pete Fairbanks. Fairbanks allowed 2 earned runs in 0.1 inning pitch as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, he is now 1-2 on the season as a closer. In their batting lineup, their elite left fielder, Randy Arozarena, will go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 10th home run of the season. For the Seattle Mariners, their starting pitcher, Justin Dunn, would only pitch 2 innings as he allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit as he struck out 1 batter. The win will go to the Seattle Mariners closer, Hector Santiago, as Santiago would allow no earned runs in 2 innings pitched as he struck out 1. In their batting lineup, their designated hitter, who in this matchup was Luis Torrens, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then their left fielder, Shed Long Jr., would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are now 35-36. That is the third best record in the American League West, as they now trail the Oakland Athletics by 8.5 games in the division. And in the wild card, they now trail the Houston Astros by 6.5 games in total. Right now, that's what they're looking at. And with this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 43-27. That is the third best record. They are tied with the Oakland Athletics for the second best record in the American League, actually, as they have the best record in the American League East. They now sit half a game ahead of the second place Boston Red Sox in the division, and that's about where they sit right now on top of the American League East. And they have with this loss, they've now lost their last 3 games, but they've still only lost 4 of their last 6, just to show how well they're playing and just to get a good sense of what's going on in the MLB, especially what's going on today, because today is Friday. Friday's more of a travel day, but of course, starting off at 7:05, Chad Kuhl and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Giancarlo Mejia and the Cleveland Indians at 7:05. At the same time, Eric Fedde and the Washington Nationals are going to host Joey Lucchesi and the New York Mets. At 7:05, Jameson Taillon and the New York Yankees are going to host James Kaprielian and the Oakland Athletics. James Kaprielian currently sporting a 3-1 record alongside a 2.51 ERA. At the same time, Bruce Zimmerman and the Baltimore Orioles are going to host Robbie Ray and the Toronto Blue Jays. Robbie Ray currently sporting a 4-2 record and a 3.45 ERA. At 8:05, Zach Davies and the Chicago Cubs are going to host the Miami Marlins. But before that, at 7:20, Max Fried and the Atlanta Braves are going to host Carlos Martinez and the St. Louis Cardinals at 7:20. So at 8:05, Mike Foltynewicz and the Texas Rangers are going to host Jose Berrios and the Minnesota Twins. Jose Berrios is currently sporting a 7-2 record alongside a 3.49 ERA. At 8:10, the Kansas City Royals are going to host Nick Pivetta and the Boston Red Sox. Nick Pivetta currently sporting a 6-2 record. At 8:10, Luis Garcia and the Houston Astros are going to host Carlos Rodon and the Chicago White Sox. Luis Garcia is currently sporting a 5-4 ERA 5-4 record alongside a 2.98 ERA. Carlos Rodon is currently sporting a 6-2 record alongside a 1.89 ERA. At 8:40, Antonio Senzatella and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Corbin Burnes and the Milwaukee Brewers. Corbin Burnes is currently sporting a 3-4 record alongside a 2.27 ERA. At 9:38, Alex Cobb and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Jose Ureno and the Detroit Tigers. At 9:40, the Caleb Smith and the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are currently on one of the worst losing streaks in the history of baseball, or not, who are on one of the worst losing streaks in the history of baseball, skids. They are led by Caleb Smith. Caleb Smith is currently sporting a 2-2 record as he has a 3.61 ERA. They're hosting the Los Angeles Dodgers, led by their elite starting pitcher Trevor Bauer, the reigning National League Cy Young winner. Trevor Bauer is currently sporting a 6-5 record alongside a 2.64 ERA. At 9:45, Johnny Cueto and the San Francisco Giants are going to host Vince Velasquez and the Philadelphia Phillies. At 10:10, Chris Paddock and the San Diego Padres are going to host Tanny Santillan and the Cincinnati Reds. Santillan has not registered a win or a loss, but he has a 1.93 ERA thus far. And last but not least, at the same time, at 10:10, Yusei Kikuchi and the Seattle Mariners are going to host Michael Wacha and the Tampa Bay Rays. Yusei Kikuchi has a 3-3 record alongside a 3.67 ERA. That game's going to be on ESPN+. And Michael Wacha is going to be sporting a 1-1 record alongside a 4.54 ERA. Right now, that's what sports are looking like in the MLB as we transition outside of the continent to what's going on with Copa America, as Copa America picked right back up. Starting off in Colombia hosted Venezuela, and in this matchup, they would end up giving them they would end up drawing at 0, and following that, Brazil would end up hosting Peru, as Brazil would score 4 and their second goal will come from their elite forward Neymar, who of course plays for PSG. With this win, Brazil is now sitting pretty high in the Copa America table. They're sitting on top of Group A as they have 6 points, and they have 2 more than second place Colombia at the moment. Now that Colombia had drew with Venezuela. Looking forward to what's going on, especially in the world, or jumping out to looking at what happened in the Euro Championships yesterday. Ukraine beat North Macedonia in the first game, as their goals would come from Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk in the first half, and North Macedonia's only goal will come in the second half, but they wouldn't have enough. With the 3 points, Ukraine now sits second in Group C as they currently as they currently have 3 points in the table. With this loss, North Macedonia now sits at the bottom of the table as they now have 0 points through 2, and it looks and their chances of making the knockout stage they're virtually none. They're not going to make it through. They're eliminated. Jumping out to Denmark, in the first game since Christian Eriksen passed out, they host Belgium, and in this matchup, Belgium would beat Denmark 2-1, as their goals would come in the second half from Torgan Hazard from Borussia Dortmund and Kevin De Bruyne from Manchester City, and they would score. And Yusuf Poulsen would be the only player to score for Denmark. Poulsen plays for Leipzig, I believe. With this win, Belgium now holds the top spot in Group B as they sit 3 points over Russia and Finland. And with a win or a draw in their next matchup, they can very easily just clinch a spot. I think they've already clinched a spot into the next round. And then the Netherlands hosted Austria, and then in this matchup, Memphis Depay would finish with a goal, you would score a penalty kick in the 11th minute, and then score a goal from Dumfries in the 67th minute would put Netherlands up 2-1. With this win, Netherlands now sits they sit on the top of Group C as they sit 3 points ahead of Ukraine and Austria, and of course, Austria, with this loss, they are now tied with Ukraine. They definitely need to win their next game moving forward. So that was going on yesterday. Looking forward to what's going on today in the world of soccer. I guess I can start with the Copa America like I did last time. Chile is going to host Bolivia at 5 o'clock. Right now, Chile and Bolivia is sitting right outside of Group B. They're the only team that's sitting right. A win here would do a lot for them. Right now, they're on the bottom because of goal differential. And right now, Chile is sitting right in the middle after their draw with Argentina. So a win here would be crucial because if they want to stay within the table virtually. And jumping out to the other game at 8 o'clock, Argentina is going to host Uruguay, as of course Argentina is led by Lionel Messi, Angel Di Maria, and others, and Uruguay has Suarez, and they have. Regardless, getting into it, but that's going to be at 8 o'clock. Right now, Argentina is sitting with 1 point on the table, and Uruguay is sitting with 0. So this is a crucial game for either team. So this is going to be a very competitive match. Looking to see what's going on in Euros early on today. Sweden is going to face Slovakia, as Sweden and Slovakia are currently vying for Group E. A win could be very important for either. And then Croatia is going to face off against the Czech Republic, as they are both fighting for Group D alongside England and Scotland. And then England and Scotland are going to face off at 3 o'clock. All these games are going to be on ESPN. And with that said, that's everything that's going on for today, Friday, June 18th, 2021. I want to thank everyone I want to thank ESPN, MLB. I want to thank NBA. I got to thank UEFA and the Copa websites for giving me the data and the numbers that I need in order to do the show. I want to thank everyone for listening to the show. And once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow for another episode on Saturday, June 19th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. But until then, I want to thank everyone once again for listening to this piece. Once again, thanks for listening to this piece. I'm James Sims, and peace out. Don't forget to be elite.